you jump on trends, before you take decisions, think, how does this move me in the direction of my dreams? The friends that you keep, the circles, the people that you walk with, people that you talk to. Boaz was, I believe it must have been a calm person. Looked around, should I move? Should I move? No, the opportunity is here. I can leverage other people's time. I can leverage other people's skills and resources. And he stayed back. The Bible said he was a man of wealth. What? A man of wealth. Yeah, it takes time to build wealth. You can expedite it, but it still takes time. Hello, friends. Have you ever read the story of someone or a book about someone or watched a documentary about someone and you're so inspired by the things that they have accomplished, especially as it relates to building wealth? I guess you're on this channel because you want to understand how to make more money, right? Manage your money or get inspired or just, jumpstart your journey to building wealth. I have read a lot of stories about wealthy people. I am a wealthy person myself, and I hope you're saying that about yourself as well. I have read about the story of a man, yes, in the scriptures, that, has inspired me time and time again. Now, it's about a love story, call it romance, call it restoration. But the more I read about the story of this man, the more wealth principles I read or I picked or learned from his life. And I'm talking about none other than Mr. Boaz. How many of you remember the story of Boaz or the character of Boaz? Now, Boaz was that, elderly man that got married to Ruth. Ruth was the Moabite or the Moabitess, that went with a mother-in-law from our own country back to Bethlehem. I mean, if you do not know that story, you can go into the book of Ruth chapter 1 and just read up about it. Naomi and her husband, Elimelech, because of the famine, had moved, to Moab for greener pastures with their 2 children. Unfortunately, the husband died and her 2 children died. But the 2 children had married women from Moab. And then after they died, Naomi decided that she was coming back home. One of her daughters-in-law went back. But Ruth, stuck with her. And she was like, no, I'm going back with. Anyway, that's the story. If you read through all of that story, all of that book, I think about 4 chapters, you would see an amazing, story of transformation. I'm actually writing an ebook that will be out in a couple of weeks, for you to really understand the entire, story about Ruth, about the characters in that book. But for this video, I'm talking about the man called Boaz. Wow, fantastic. I don't have time to read all, the places it was quoted. His name was mentioned, but I'm just going to read something really quickly, and I'm going to be sharing 7 wealth principles from the life of Boaz. Okay, where do we start from? I'm going to read from Ruth chapter 2, and just a few verses, and I'll share the 7 things. Now, Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Actually, other translations called him a man of wealth. He was a wealthy man, and I wish that's what I'm reading, but hey, if you read it, I'm reading from NIV, but if you read from other translations, it was called a wealthy man. Now, this guy was a relative of Elimelech who had left his own country and had gone into Moab. Now, wealth is not something that just jumps on you. Can we assume that, when Elimelech or Elimelech or whatever the name was, Naomi's husband, was going, to Moab, Boaz was just there, also just building tenaciously and building, consistently until he became wealthy. How did he acquire his wealth? Well, we'll learn from the scriptures some of the things that he did. So he was a man of standing, a reputable man, a man of wealth. And in verse 2, Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor. Naomi said to her, go ahead, my daughter. So she went out, I'm reading from Ruth chapter 2, entered a field and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Mr. Boaz, who was again from the family of Elimelech. Just then, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. The Lord be with you. The Lord bless you, they answered. Boaz asked the overseer of his harvesters, who does that young woman belong to? And then On and on and on. The first word principle I picked from the life of Mr. B, let's call him Mr. B or Boaz, is what I call leverage. Now, if you are not new to me, new to what we do as smart stewards, you would remember, you would, agree with me that leverage is such a powerful word that I talk about all the time. What does leverage mean? Literally, my own simple explanation. Leverage is using to a maximum advantage what other people have that you don't have. You don't have more than 24 hours in a day, right? Yes, others don't have more than 24 hours in a day. But you know that others can use their time to serve you, to support you, to collaborate with you. You don't have all the money in the world. You don't have all the time, all the skills, all the resources. But you can work with people. Now, Boaz was not even always present, but he had a great field. He had an overseer, he had a supervisor, he had managers, he had workers. Boaz could not have become wealthy by tilling his field by himself. If you want to get wealthy, one of the videos I did recently, I talked about, the power of multiplication and how you need leverage. Leverage is such an important word. I mean, in Nigeria, in Africa, we know that Aliko Dangote is the richest person as of this time. Now, Aliko Dangote operates in different industries. Oh, yeah, manufacturing, but he does different things. I tell people that Aliko lives in our lives, lives in our heads, lives in our homes. He does pasta, he does cement, he does sugar, he does salt. Now he's into refinery and so many things. Now, could he probably be at all the factories at the same time? No, he has people, just like Boaz. The more people you're able to team up with and work with, the greater and the bigger your wealth is. You're trying to do things by yourself. You are the supervisor, you are the manager, you're doing a foundation, you're not running around. Learn to help people, but don't use people. Make sure that you're teaming up with people to achieve your own advantages and for them to also achieve their own advantages. If you are an employer, you need people. You need to delegate. You can't do things by yourself. And don't say, I'm young. How can I leverage? You can leverage. How can I embrace leverage? You can leverage. Work with people of like minds. What can we do together? As fashion designers, as this and that, how can we come up to collaborate? Now, Boaz was wealthy because even when he was not there, things were working. If you're not around for 2 weeks, would your business continue to run? Would you continue to make money? Put systems and structures in place. So that's the first thing I saw from the life of Boaz. Number 2, leverage. That's that. Number 2, as a person of faith, listen, my love for God is out of this world, and there's nothing that I do that I don't give glory to God for. In Him we live, in Him we move, in Him we have our being. I understand if you're not a person of faith, you're watching this, congratulations. I invite you to know the Lord that I am serving. But the second thing I saw in the life of Boaz was that he was a lover of God and a person that knew God. The first thing that Boaz said in the entire book of Ruth was what? The Lord be with you. What? The Bible says that God was with Joseph in Potiphar's house. And he grew, and he grew, and he prospered. Even though he was a slave, but because God was with him, everything he did was successful. Verse 4 says, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. The Lord be with you. What? I love it. We live in a woke generation where, our salutation, our greetings these days are funny. Oh boy, what's up? What's happening? Yeah, ma, see your hair, big hair, big. We see all manner of things like that. Now, I'm not saying you should go all religious on people and say, oh, bless you. Well, if that's how you feel. But I can't see somebody and I'm like, hey, you guys, big head, big nose. No. His salutation showed that he was a servant of God, somebody who loved God. And what did his reapers reply, the people that worked with him? The Lord bless you as well. Sir, the Lord bless you. Even the people working with him were people who feared God. Listen, if you're in God's camp and you surround yourself with God's people, you will prosper. Isaac sowed in that land and he reaped it what? 100-fold. It is good. I know that it is good to serve God, to love God, to please God, and to serve humanity. I think that was one of his sources of, the whole book of Ruth is an exemplary story on divine providence. How God arranged a Ruth who was not even, an Israelite, who was not even She was a complete Gentile, but she became the grandmother, the great grandmother of David, right? I hope I'm right. Yeah, grandmother of Obed, all of those things. How could and her name went into the genealogy of Jesus, an outcast. Was not God that said, don't marry from, but God took a Gentile, grafted her into the family tree of Jesus. It pays to serve God. Now, this man was wealthy, but because some people feel that, no, when you're a Christian, you can't make money. Forget it. The number 3 point that I learned from the life of Boaz was that he was a listener. Now, you can see the pattern, as always with me. So I'm sharing 7 L's. The first one was leverage. Second one was lover of God. This third one was a listener. In one of the videos I've done, I also talked about the power of listening, paying attention, especially in an age where there are distractions. Listen, this is a distracted generation. We're either distracted with things that do not concern us, distracted by the screens, distracted by news. Something is happening and then you jump on it, you comment, you move from one, social media platform to another, just looking for gist, rather than spending. I'm not saying don't do social media, but spend time to build. The more you stay on social media, the more you enrich the people who built those things. They are cashing in, and then you are always broke. This man was a good listener. How do we know? When he got there, immediately he spotted Ruth. This man had a lot of people working for him, but he spotted Ruth. He was like, who is that lady? He was attentive. How attentive are you to opportunities, to conversations, to spotting, things that, might just push you in the direction of your goals? So, verse 5, he said, he asked his supervisor, who does that young man belong to? Who does he belong to? Who is he? Who is she, rather? Be a listener. If you want to be wealthy, you can't just be talking. You are the one loudest. Your voice is loudest. You are the one always talking, always trying to contribute. I have a point. You're always proving something. Come on, listen. Listeners and readers go far in life. You listen into conversations, you're able to cite opportunities. Of course, number 4L, I call it long-term orientation. And I already mentioned it. Elimelech left the land of bread, Bethlehem, because there was famine. There would always be famine. Now, look at all the patriarchs in the Bible. There was always famine in each of their time. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Elijah, famine. But this guy left Bethlehem in Jerusalem, the land of bread, because of a short-term issue. Now, when they were going to come back, the Bible said that Naomi heard that God had visited his people with bread. Why didn't Boaz move? I know this is a season and a dispensation where a lot of people are relocating. I'm not anti-relocation. If God tells you to go, if circumstances, you feel that, your circumstances necessitate that you go, why not? But I think Boaz had a long-term orientation. His cousin, his relative left and died there. His 2 sons died there. But he was here and he was wealthy and he was still making money. Even in famine, he was still a wealthy person. Brings me back to asking this question. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Yes, let me say my favorite quote. Everybody knows that I love this quote. I am not the author of this quote, but it's a quote that I have known and worked with for decades. Nothing guarantees a good future like a correct picture. And you cannot feature in a future you can't picture. I can say it again. Nothing guarantees a good future like a correct picture. And you cannot feature in a future you can't picture. Friends, what do you see about yourself? Next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Some of you still think, I'm too young. That was how I was when I finished school at 20. Over 24 years ago. Like, where have the days gone? Long-term orientation. Before you jump on trends, before you take decisions, think, how does this move me in the direction of my dreams? The friends that you keep, the circles, the people that you walk with, people that you talk to. Boaz was, I believe it must have been a calm person. Looked around, should I move? Should I move? No, the opportunity is here. I can leverage other people's time. I can leverage other people's skills and resources. And he stayed back. The Bible said he was a man of wealth. What? A man of wealth. Yeah, it takes time to build wealth. You can expedite it, but it still takes time. How many have I said now? Let me see. Leverage, 1. Lover of God, 2. Listener, 3. Long-term orientation, 4. Shall we talk about leadership character? This guy was a leader. Go and read the book of Ruth chapter 2, 3, 4. He exhibited great leadership tendencies. He came around, he greeted, salutation. The people loved him. They greeted him back. He spotted Ruth. He told them what to do. When Ruth approached him, told her what to do. Leadership, listen. To build and sustain wealth, you must see yourself as a leader. And you must build and train yourself to becoming a good leader. In the way you talk, the people you lead. And this is not about age. Leadership gives you the opportunity to influence and impact lives. And listen, wherever there is impact and influence, income will come. So stop saying, I don't know, we can't all be born leaders. Are leaders born? Leaders build and develop themselves, right? So there was a time, yes, in that scripture that he told his other workers, when she's going, pack stuff for her. When Ruth came, on her mother-in-law's advice, to come and sort of toast him, modern day language. The guy exhibited leadership characters. He didn't take advantage. It was at night. She came to sleep at his feet. Like nobody's watching. Okay, let's quickly do something ungodly. No. He advised her. He wasn't rude. He was wealthy. This lady didn't have anything. He advised her, told her what to do, and said, you know what, give me time. Delayed gratification. Such leadership tendencies. And then he was like, yes, I can marry you, but there is somebody who has right to claim that inheritance. Call it a distant, I'm more distant, a more distant redeemer. There's a closer redeemer, there's a closer relative. We will talk to him. And then by the next day, he organized a meeting to say, you know what? Naomi is back. You are the one who it wasn't greedy. You are the one who is entitled to sort of redeem, the inheritance and all of that. But you must take Ruth along. The guy said, no, I don't want. Say, okay, he did things the proper way. There are many followers and leaders. In our countries, various countries you're watching from, if we have good leaders, we'll move forward. I don't want to, belabor that point, but hey, you want to build well, go and do a training on leadership. Read books on leadership. People will gravitate towards you. And where there are people are fantastic currency. Your life will move forward. Let me talk about the last two L's rather. We're out of this. He was a loyal person. I see loyalty. And shall I say, he was also law-abiding, law-centric, law-aware. He was loyal. When Ruth came, young girl, like to an elderly person, and I said, we have arrived. He didn't take advantage of her innocence. He wasn't rude, like I already said. He was loyal. Say, you know what? I know the right principles. And I know there's somebody. I know how the principles in this family work. We're going to adhere to it. This is how it works. These are principles. He was loyal. He was law-centric. He was principle-centric. That's what I'm saying. Business owner, pay your taxes. Pay your staff well. Pay on time. Don't owe people. Right? Don't do things the way everybody is doing it. Do things the appropriate way. Finally, he was a landowner. You want to build wealth, invest. Start to invest in land. Little by little, 5,000. Put it aside in savings. When it appreciates, as you grow a lot of these things, you then can invest. It's part of real estate investment trust. Yeah, talk to well-established and well-known real estate people. You can save over time. You can buy land for starters and pay over time. You can do mortgage. Now, we see that the main source of Boaz's wealth was what? Land owning. He had farming. He had, that people worked on. I think real estate is one of the realest investments that we have around. And if we commit to it, we will make the most of it. Land. God told Adam, till the land, right? In another video, I'll talk about, the advantages and the benefits of real estate investments. But until then, start to put money aside. Start to read about real estate. Land appreciates. You see all of those other paper assets, sometimes you lose money, but land, properties appreciate, ideally. All right. I just wanted to share this, and I think we will title this Prosperity in the Midst of Pain. The 7 L's from the life of Boaz. I hope you have found this video interesting. If you'd like to read more about what we do, know more about what we do, sign up for membership of the Smart Stewards Academy, where we have a framework, 3-month framework, 1-year framework for building wealth. We teach you how to make, manage, and multiply money, and we help you achieve your goals. Under this video, you can use the link to sign up. We have other courses for business owners. We have the Fit to Fly financial course that helps you understand the 7 pillars of your finances. But at the most basic level, sign up for a membership of the Smart Stewards Academy. Until I see you next week, remember that God, or next time, or in the next video, God is with you and He's going to prosper you. Prosper me as He has prospered Boaz. And shall I add the last L? Legacy. Look at it. The legacy of Boaz is fantastic. In another video, I'll talk about legacy. But until then, keep winning.